A new free agent target for the New York Knicks has emerged as they still have their 14th roster spot open and they can sign someone using the veteran minimum. We're going to break that down on today's show as you're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. I know we've been talking about a potential 14th man for a couple of weeks. I thought they would have already signed someone at this point, but Leon Rose continues to wait and see if that player is going to be signed now or later. We've talked a lot about Ben Simmons. We're not going to talk about him until later. The new free agent target that has emerged is the person that I am still upset essentially ended the Knicks season, and that is Thomas Bryant, the big man from the Indiana Pacers. 6'10", 248 pounds. The 28-year-old center is still unsigned at this point, and I don't think it's the worst idea in the world for the Knicks to target a center. When you look at their depth chart, we know that Mitchell Robinson has injury issues of his own. Karl Anthony Towns is also someone that has battled some injury issues throughout his career. And who knows if Ariel Hukporti, who we are all hoping, is going to be ready to play night in and night out. So I know they need a point guard. I think they could use another wing, but I also think a center makes some sense. David Vetzberger of SNY wrote this article saying, one position the Knicks may want to heavily consider using this spot for is the center spot. Their current rotation is made up of Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, and Ariel Hukporti. And if they start the double big lineup, this essentially leaves them one backup five to start the year. They have interesting alternative options at the center, like sliding newly signed Gershon Yabusele down a position or playing OG Anunoby there, and can always move Robinson back to the bench. However, signing a depth piece at the position like Thomas Bryant gives them more security in case injuries hit. Fans will remember Bryant from his timely threes against the Knicks in the conference finals. He's now bounced between 5 teams in his 8-year NBA career, but can step in a pinch with some offensive rebounding and rim deterrence. A report from Kevin Martorano of Sports Ondo stated that Bryant may be packing his bags for Greece, in which case the Knicks may need to turn to another center options. I would not hate the idea of Thomas Bryant coming to the Knicks, but I still hate him. I cannot believe we knocked down, 3 corner threes against the Knicks in that Game 6 performance. Look, it's the 14th roster spot. How much of a difference is it going to make? I don't know. Hopefully that guy never has to play. But there is a world where Mitchell Robinson is hurt, Karl Anthony Towns is hurt, or Ariel Hukporti. All 3 of them have had injuries throughout their career. And Bryant is a guy that throughout his stops in the NBA has had some decent-ish moments. Played in 66 games last year for the Indiana Pacers, 6.5 points, 3.8 rebounds. Nothing to write home about. But the ability for him to at least be a threat to knock down the 3 ball from the corner is a positive for him. He's an athletic big. He has a little bit of a mid-range game as well. He can protect the rim at, I would say, an average level in the NBA. He's an average third backup center. And I don't hate the idea of adding another center to this team. I thought the article from SNY painted the picture really well. Like, if you're going to run with Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns as your starting centers, I don't think it's the best idea in the world to just have Ariel Hukporti as the backup. And, I think the Knicks, and I know there's been a lot of talk about him being the starting center, Mitchell Robinson, maybe they should load manage Mitch this year. Because the only thing that matters for him at this point is he's healthy and ready to get 16 wins in the playoffs. If Robinson's not healthy in the playoffs, the Knicks are going to be trying to climb uphill to the NBA Finals. And that's the reason why I don't really want him in the starting lineup, because I don't want him playing back-to-backs. And, if he does start and he doesn't play back-to-backs, then you're going to need a new starting center and having to mess with that starting rotation probably too many times this year. Mitch is a good player. What he does, he's one of the best players in the NBA. He helps this team. He raises its floor and heightens its ceiling. But I still worry about the injury issues. And that's why, 1, I'm okay with adding a center, and 2, I don't really want him starting. In this SNY article, there was also 2 other big men named alongside Thomas Bryant that maybe the Knicks could look to target. One was Bol Bol. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked if the Knicks should go out and sign Bol Bol. And Bismack Biyombo, who I didn't even know was still in the NBA. I would prefer probably Bryant over both those guys, but as I once was the guy that played 2K all the time, Bol Bol was a cheat code on there. It would absolutely make them a more fun team to play with. My question to you is this. Do you think the Knicks should sign Thomas Bryant to the veteran minimum contract for the final spot on their roster? Spot number 14 before all the two-way deals. Type S for sign, type P for pass. I want to hear from all of you in the comments section. I'm okay with it. I also still think there are some better players out there as well. In that SNY article, they also listed 4 other New York Knicks free agent targets, and we've talked a lot about these players. Russell Westbrook. I saw an article today that the Sacramento Kings are a team that is interested in signing him. Ian Begley, when NBA free agency opened up, mentioned Russell Westbrook as a Knicks free agent target. I think at this point, it doesn't really make all that much sense. Maybe if they didn't sign Jordan Clarkson, it could work. I just don't know where he's going to be playing minutes. And I don't think he's going to be an every game player for the Knicks. And I think Westbrook is looking for a spot where he can play every game at 36. I don't think he's ready to sit on the bench and just watch teams play. And I don't know if I want to see a bench unit that features Russell Westbrook and Josh Hart. I love the energy. I like that he's kind of recreated himself as a player. I thought he was actually pretty good for the Denver Nuggets last year. Probably shouldn't play in the fourth quarter of playoff games. That's a different story. I'd probably pass, though, on Westbrook at this point. They could look to maybe bring back Landry Shamet. There's been some talks about Shamet being a player of interest that they could bring back, so I don't hate that idea at all. And Shamet's one of those players where it would be a seamless fit on any roster because he's a willing defender. He's going to compete his tail off on defense, and he's also able to hit the outside shot. And I even feel sometimes that I give Landry Shamet not the benefit of the doubt because he did have that nasty shoulder injury at the beginning of the season. And as a shooter, you got to be healthy. And it took him a while to get back in the groove and the swing of things. He didn't shoot the ball well at the beginning of the year. But once we got past the All-Star break and into the playoffs, he was a knockdown shooter. You can always use more shooting. The Knicks don't really have any snipers off the bench. I don't hate the idea of Shamet, and he's probably closer to 1 than 5 when it comes to me power ranking who I want to get that 14th roster spot. 2 more players we got to talk about, but this Nike New York Knicks t-shirt, it is on sale. Chatsports.com/Nike sale. A Nike Knicks t-shirt. It's on sale. Before you know it, game 1 of 82 will be here. And you better have some swag and some Knicks gear ready to go for when that season starts. And it's Nike. It's good stuff. Chatsports.com/Nike sale. I'll make sure that link is clickable down in the comments and description of today's show. Another player that SNY linked to the Knicks in this article is Malcolm Brogdon, the former 6th Man of the Year. This is a player that I think would be a good fit as well because unlike Westbrook, he can shoot the ball and he could play with just about anybody on the Knicks off the bench. At 32 years old, he's had a lot of experience before. The Knicks have been linked to him for what seems like 3 years in a row. And for 3 years in a row, they have opted not to sign him. So maybe the Knicks just aren't all that interested in him. I think it makes some sense. You don't really have a true backup point guard unless you think Tyler Kolek is ready for that job. I like a backcourt off the bench of Brogdon and Deuce McBride. I know you have Jordan Clarkson as well. I would actually start Deuce McBride. So I love Brogdon on this team. He was a vital piece of his Celtics team that made a deep playoff run. 6th Man of the Year should have been Emmanuel Quickley. But he's a proven playoff player. He's played a lot of games. He can knock down shots. He just has not been able to stay healthy. That has been why he has not been able to live up to who he was supposed to be going into 30-plus years old in the NBA. And maybe that's why the Knicks decide to pass on him. I like the idea of Brogdon here. Like Shamet, he's closer to 1 than 5 of power ranking players who I'd want to be a Knick. And, of course, Ben Simmons is the last player that was linked to the Knicks. I don't have too many more thoughts on Ben Simmons. At this point, I feel like, okay, you want to sign him? Cool. Okay, you don't want to sign him? Cool with that as well. Like, sure, let's close our eyes and throw a dart and hope it hits. Like, former number 1 overall pick, can still defend, can still handle, can still play make, still a good athlete at 29 years old, and he provides size and lineup versatility. I think he has the highest upside of any of the 5 players we talked about on today's show, but I also think there's potentially some bust factor with him. Like, is he going to be salty and upset if he goes a week and a half without playing? Is that going to bring down team morale? Is he going to be good for the locker room? I worry about all those things. But from a sheer talent and upside perspective, I think he's number 1 on this list. We've talked about 5 players on today's show. Give me one name in the comment section. Who do you want the Knicks to sign to that 14th roster spot for the final veteran minimum contract they can hand out? Shamet, Brogden, and Ben Simmons. Those are my top 3. Give me one name in the comments that you want to see. Make sure you are following me on social media, because if the Knicks do sign someone, the first place you'll hear about is on my Twitter. And also, if you want more short-form Giants and Knicks content on Instagram, give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.